163 runners off for the championship of this Class 5 race. The starter there, Diane Steffi-Heaney. Head umpires Tom Emo, meet coordinator Don Maurer, and meet referee Ron Whitaker. They're busy at work making sure that their officials around the course are ready to go. This is a 2-kilometer loop and then a 3-kilometer loop. If you happen to see those sensor pads right behind the start line, behind box numbers 7 or 8, you'll see that those sensor pads are going to be used at the end of the 2nd kilometer. That'll give us the splits after 2,000 meters. The runners on this real wide start, very fair start area, they are heading for about 500 or 600 meters, down a little bit of a hill, not much, and then up a small incline. They'll be hanging a left. The first turn will be a left. They'll make nearly a complete circle and then head back to the north before they get to the kilometer split. There are gates along the way, and you'll be able to see the standings at those gates and watch the runners come through there and get their splits at those gates. So again, a 2-kilometer inner loop, and then they'll run a 3-kilometer loop. Among the favorites in this race, as the schools are look at a virtual meet through the help of Mile Split, Missouri, they see Rockbridge as the favored team, and Rockbridge does have three of the top 6 runners so far this season, led by Matthew Hauser, a 15:12, Andrew Hauser, a 15:40, and Ian Kinney, a 15:39. They are ranked 1 for the older Hauser, Kinney 4, and the younger 9th grade Andrew Hauser ranked 6th. This is a tightly packed group as they make this turn. Ethan Koop with the lead, but again, this is as crowded as we've seen the race on this first turn of the race. Brock Wooderson of Blue Springs, also one of the top runners. He's run a 15:21. Wooderson last year 18th in the race. He won the district with a 16:12. Still sorting themselves out as they have finished their left turn, and now they make a right turn. And in just a few meters, we will get the time for the leaders. We saw two of the girls go out and set the pace alone through the first 1,000 meters in the previous race. But this is amazing how crowded this is. And let's do some looking. Between 3:03, which was the fastest time by Mason Orschlin and Brian Obar, there are 21 runners within a second of each other. If you spread it out to 2 seconds, you've got 30 runners within 2 seconds of each other in the opening kilometer of this race. And if you want an in-progress team score, that would be Rockbridge with 42, Central of St. Joseph 47, Liberty North 111, and Liberty with 116. In the virtual figuring that Mile Split, Missouri did, they see Rockbridge with a huge advantage. Kickapoo, Central of St. Joseph, and St. Louis University would be the top 4 teams. And these predictions by Mile Split, Missouri have been pretty accurate in the race. They may not get exactly the right standings, but they had the 4 teams that finished in the top 4 in the girls' race. And one of the races yesterday, they had it pegged within a point. We'll start to see things stretch out just a bit as we're in the 2nd kilometer, and what they've done is made a half loop around a pond that's inside of that turn that they just made to their right. They have hit the fork in the road, and they have taken the left spot. They'll be going through some trees here in a moment and then make a big loop to come in towards us at the finish line. And the 2nd kilometer split is right after they make the turn in between the gap in the fence. Ethan Koop of Marquette has been an early leader through the first nearly 2,000 or 1,500 meters. They're at the 5-minute mark of their race now. 3:03 the split in the first 1,000 meters. The Class 4 race yesterday went through at 2:56 in that 1,000 meters. Their winning time was Riley Simpson with a 15:39. Dalen Ackley won the very first boys race of the day on Thursday, and that was a 15:41. The days get away from us, don't they? And he ran a 2:55 opening split. So this group on a little bit slower pace, but we don't expect that to continue. The lead vehicle has made the turn, and still a strong pack getting ready to come through. And we'll see them cross the sensor pads and immediately see, with the help of Cody Branch and prime timing, that Orscheln is the leader, a 6:09. He followed the opening 3:03 with a 3:06. Wooderson, we mentioned him a moment ago, one of the top seeds. He's second. Nathan Barry third, Ethan Coop fourth, Andrew Hauser and Matthew Hauser running fifth and sixth. Ethan Lee of Liberty North in seventh. Another Rockbridge Bruin in eighth, Ian Kimmy, In ninth is Tyler Harris of Kickapoo. Then Central is St. Joseph, Damian Mujica. Jefferson City's Thomas Rail is in 11th. Nick Cimarusti. You recognize many of these names from prior state championship meets. Through 2,000 meters, and again, this is a team score in progress. Central of St. Joseph with 68, Rockbridge 77. Central of St. Joseph, the time spread between their first and fifth runner only 13.5 seconds. 12.6 seconds separating the first and fifth runner of Rockbridge. So at the 2,000 meter split, we talked about how we had 30 runners within 2 seconds of each other after the first kilometer. That was down to about 15 runners within 2 seconds of each other. So the lead group split in half when you're looking at 2 second difference between first and 2 seconds later. So they make the loop like they did. They're running on familiar territory because this is where they ran the opening kilometer. When they come around this loop that is to the left and then the quick right, they'll come by the gate that will give them their 3 kilometer split. And then about 200 to 250 meters after that, they'll be going on new part of the course. They'll go right at the fork rather than left. Mason Orscheln and Nathan Barry both running up in the lead group for Central of St. Joe. .47 by any chance? Here they come across the 3,000 meter split. Matthew Hauser of Rockbridge at 3,000 meters with a 9:23. Wooderson with a 9:23, a tenth of a second behind him. Nathan Barry of Central of St. Joe, Trevor Pyman of Timberland, Ethan Coop of Marquette, Ethan Lee of Liberty North, Andrew Hauser, and Ian Kimmy. both for Rockbridge, running 7th and 8th. Then we'll round out the top 10 with Kickapoo's Tyler Harris and Mason Orschelin of Central. Orschelin had been the leader at the end of 2000. He's 10th, just a little over 2 seconds off the lead. And how that pace has started to weed out the runners, now down to 9 within 2 seconds of each other. Again, we had 30, then it was halved, and now down to 9 within 2 seconds of each other. Matthew Hauser, he comes in as the fastest so far this season with a 15:12. On this course last year in the state meet, he ran a 15:24. Team scores through 3,000. Rockbridge with 102. St. Louis University 113. Same score with Central as St. Joe. Liberty North 139. Liberty 142. Those 5 teams separating themselves a bit from the rest of the pack. Now the difference between the first and fifth runners, second-wise for Rockbridge, 36 seconds. Their lead runners, Matthew Hauser, Andrew Hauser, Ian Kimmey, Tate Fletcher, and Weston Jokerst. So the leaders do a little meter split. They're within 100 meters of that right now. They'll hit the 4,000 meter split. Make a couple of turns, come up where you can see them if you're on that bank or that berm, before they make the turn onto the straightaway. Hauser leading. Matthew Hauser won the District 4 in a 16:58. As we told you last year, third in the state race, 2 seniors ahead of him. He's run this course many times. He won the Gans Gold Division with a 15:45. He's placed the last 2 years at the state meet, third last year, 16th in 2018. There's the 4,000 meter split. Hauser with a 12:32. Trevor Pyman of Timberland right behind him, and then Brock Wooderson. Those 3 are the lead 3, a Rockbridge runner, Timberland, and Blue Springs. The gap is about 4.5 seconds back to Ethan Coop of Marquette, who stays in that top group from the beginning. Ethan Lee of Liberty North is 5th. Tyler Harris of Kickapoo. Then Andrew Hauser is 7th. He's the 9th grader. Ian Kimmey, a 10th grader from Rockbridge, running 8th. Another Central St. Joe runner is now in 9th. Nathan Berry. Thomas Rail of Jefferson City in the top 10. The split on the 4th kilometer was 3:09. That split for Hauser and Pyman, and a 3:10 for Wooderson. Keeps them within 1.1 seconds of each other. Hauser now, though, is starting, this is Matthew Hauser, starting to extend his lead. Hauser, Pyman, Wooderson. We're just in the early 14-minute mark. Hauser's really starting to make the move. You can watch that. Those of you who are watching online or watching the stream of this, you can see a great vantage point up there on the hillside as the fans are able to see these runners who will now go from hugging the left side white line to going to the right side as they take the right tangent to get onto the straightaway. Hauser comes around onto the straightaway. The only one in the picture now, Matthew Hauser. Hauser, for the 3rd time, will finish, but this will be his favorite as he holds on, if he can, to first. We're coming up on the 15-minute mark. 15 minutes with a straightaway between Rockbridge senior Matthew Hauser and a state championship. There, back in the back of the picture, Trevor Pyman, you can see him. Hauser paced well in the early portion of this race. And we're going to see quite a finish, though, when we get back to third. Still some places to be determined beginning at third as we celebrate Matthew Hauser across the finish line. Hauser first with a 15:34. Then you'll see Pyman with a 15:40. What a finish also for Ethan Lee of Liberty North. He picked up 2 spots, as did Tyler Harris in the last kilometer. Then a real big move of gain of 5 in the last kilometer by Luke Volker to come in 6th. Rockbridge has had 3 runners already finish. The sprint now comes in groups of 3 and 4, just making it across the line. Joe Seitzer of Rockhurst, the 25th finisher. 25 will get recognition for the individual accomplishments. And now we watch to see who will the team winner be. We've seen 3 finish for Rockbridge, 3 also for Ladue, Horton, Watkins. St. Louis has had 4, SLU with 4, now 5 finishers for SLU. Rockbridge takes the lead at this stage with a 109. St. Louis University High with a 125. Liberty a 137. Liberty North a 143. Again, those numbers could change as we see more finishers that could determine the team standings. Rockbridge has 7 runners that will score 57 or better. SLU with 7 that would score 42 or better. But it's those early top 3 finishers for Rockbridge that are very strong, hard to overcome, as they have the 1st, 5th, and 9th scorers. Big move in the final as we scan down and look at the top 25 finishers. The biggest move, positive move by any of those 25. Keon Grieve of Capital City. He gained 7 spots to make his way into the top 20. He would have been off the podium if he hadn't have had that spurt. Also, Joe Seitzer of Rockhurst. He gained 9 spots in the last kilometer, running a 3:06 split in the last kilometer. That 3:06 is about the 4th fastest that we see as we scan the early finishers. Hauser with a 3:02 final kilometer split. Hauser opened at 3:03, then a 3:06, a 3:13, 3:09, and a 3:02.